So, Brad, in the past, you and I have loved regaling one another with stories of convention readers, the one out of a million convention readers who go a little bit too far in some way, shape, or form, Brad. They cross some sort of social line that we were like, oh, I got to tell my friend Brad about this. Did I ever tell you the story of the guy who said I signed my name wrong?
What?
Did I ever tell you this story?
You signed your name wrong.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear that you had the same reaction to this that I did. So, this guy buys a book, and I go, "Oh, can I put a sketch and a signature in there for you?" And he goes, "Sure." And I put a quick little sketch and a signature in there for him, and he looks at it, like holds the book open for the longest time, kind of like when you're holding up the back of the Tylenol box to read, like, hey, do I take 2 of these? Do I take 3 of these? You know, that kind of thing. He's holding my book open, and he goes, "You signed your name wrong." Oh. And I said, what? Because, you know, when someone says that to you, you're like, well, let me see this. What? Yeah. And I look at it and I go, no, that's my signature. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, but you signed it wrong. And I go, no. And he goes, where's the E? And I go, right there. Where's the 2 L's? Right there and right there. Where's the second E? Right there.
Oh, my God.
Well, what's the 2 T's? And I go, those are the 2 T's. And he's like, this doesn't look right. You got to change this. I was like, change my signature. I was gobsmacked with the jump that this guy made on my signature. Yeah. That I signed my name wrong, Brad.
Oh, my God. I mean, I would be, especially if it was a cash transaction. I think I would have been very tempted to do that bit from the Seinfeld, the guy that sold the soup, and just give him his money back and say, no book for you. You get no book. You get nothing.
Then I gotta find. Then I have this problem, Brad. We've had this before. Then it says to Gary, all my friendship, Dave Kellett. Now I gotta look for a Gary at the convention, you know, to sell that book to.
And you gotta fix the spelling on friendship too.
And I have to remember that Kellett. I got to remember that Kellett has 2 E's in it the next time. You know?
Oh my God.
So I was blown away by just the chutzpah of the guy going, "You signed your name wrong."
Oh my God.
Signed my name wrong. That's my GD signature. What are we doing?
Holy moly. That's the good thing about having a name like Geiger. Nobody knows how it's supposed to be spelled in the first place. So they're just that and the fact that they see I can hold a pen and make it go back and forth. They're so impressed because they take one look at me and figure I can't do that. I'm in the clear as soon as I get to the end of the sentence.
They're like clapping for you. You did a great job.
You did good.
You did really good. I'm proud of you.
Do you see how he didn't eat his crayons, Marge? He's good.
Eat his crayons. Have you ever had anybody like call you on your signature though?
Holy moly! I had one guy at a convention one time where it was a small convention and I was selling commissions, I think for like $20 a pop. Right? I was just selling convention commissions. And he came up and he says, he hands me like a comic book backing board. You've done that whole thing. And he says, I just want you to do something on this. I said, great, $20. And he goes, no. He says, I just want a sketch. And I said, yeah, sketches are $20 too. He goes, no. He says, you don't even have to spend any time on it. Just a sketch. And I said, yeah, sketches I don't spend much time on. They're $20. You might as well just pay the $20 and wait a couple seconds for me to do something nice. He says, I don't want that. He says, I just want just a doodle. Just a little doodle, he says. Now, here's the problem. He is absolutely laser focused on getting me to do a sketch for free.
Right.
And since he's not a kid, like a kid, you always do free sketches.
Since he's a socially functioning adult.
Yes. And since I've got a sign in front of my table saying commissions are $20, now, for me, it's the principle of the thing. I'm not going to give this motherfucker anything, right?
Yeah, now you're digging in.
We stood there and argued, I shit you not, for 30 minutes easy.
No,
he kept changing the word by basically saying, or just kept like moving the goalpost by saying, you don't even have to have your eyes open. Just move the pen. I said, I'm not going to do that because then you're going to want me to put my name on the bottom of it. And then you're going to have this piece of shit art with my name on it floating around. And I don't want that either. And he says, yeah, he's just a doodle. All I want is a doodle. And I'm like, I'm not going to do a doodle for you. I'm not doodling here. I'm doing convention. We sat and argued. Finally, I literally, to get rid of him, and by the way, I am this petty. He said, just a doodle. I said, fine, give me your paper. I literally scribbled on the paper and scribbled. And by the time I got done with my signature, he looked at it, he says, you got 2 E's, you got 2 L's, you got 2 T's? He says, who are you? I said, I'm Dave Kellett.
And on that note, I'm going to say hello, everybody, and welcome to ComicLab, the show about throwing your friend under the bus and making comics.
And making a living from comics. I'm Brad Geiger, the author of the Webcomics Handbook and the creator of Evil Inc.
And apparently, I'm the purveyor of great scribbles in 2014, Dave Kellett, cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon, and co-director of the comics documentary strips.
It's just a reason I don't do conventions anymore. And this week's hour of comics advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So Dave, let's talk comics.
Let's talk comics, my friend. I wish I could have been there in the booth with you, because you know what I would have suggested to you? I would have leaned over and whispered, Brad, do you remember the 1974 cultural juggernaut that was Have a Nice Day?
Oh, yes.
Just sketch Have a Nice Day. Just sketch that. A circle, 2 dots, and a smiley lip. That's all you need to do. Just give him a smiley face. I mean, I don't know. How would you describe Have a Nice Day? That's that yellow smiley face.
What was the one with the nose over the wall? Somebody was here. Kilroy was
Kilroy.
here.
Yeah, that was the Vietnam era one, right?
Yeah.
Kilroy, yeah. That was a little bit before my time, but of course you remember that one clearly. So yes. So, gang, we've got a fun show for everybody this week. And despite my friend Brad Geiger throwing me under the bus in a past convention, so somewhere out there is just a shit poor Brad Geiger sketch. We're with a Dave Kellett. By the way, we have done that before, though, and this is telling on ourselves. But there was a time, I don't remember what show it was. It was either you or Kurtz or I, and honest to God, I'm not trying to throw one of us under the bus. One of us did this to the other one where they weren't there, and someone needed to buy a book, and we're like, you know what? Sure, I'll sign that for you, Scott Kurtz, and they're just. I honest to God don't remember. This was how long ago it was, because we did How to Make Webcomics, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago now?
Yeah. Oh, gosh, it was at least, I want to say 2007.
Okay, 2000, yeah, that might be the case. And so it's long enough where my brain doesn't remember which one of us did it, but I remember us laughing about and then debating how morally wrong it might have been to have done it. And I don't remember which one of us did it where we're like, I'm Chris Straub, I'm Scott Kurtz, here's
Close
your book.
enough.
And we just wanted them to make the sale, but while they were gone, and then come back and be like, here's your $20, I sold you your book for you. And also
and have
this
sketch floating around with their name on it. I remember on the How to Make Webcomics book, we had this great bit going where people would want to get the book with all 4 signatures.
All 4 signatures,
and so the first person would say something like, Brad Geiger, the cutest one of the bunch. And then everybody would have to iterate on that theme. And it became basically us just roasting each other in our signatures.
Yeah, it was like an improv game, though, because whatever the first person did, the other 3 had to improv off of.
Yeah.
So Chris Straub would write something like, the inventor of humor, and then the other 3 of us would eviscerate him for that. Or like Scott would write, the only funny one in the bunch, and then the other 3 would eviscerate. I don't remember what my go-to was, but anyway, it was always fun. It was always a fun game. It's the only book in my life where I will ever have 3 other co-authors. We'll never have that again. And so anyway, it was super fun. Anyway, I'm going to jump us into our first question for this week, Brad, over at patreon.com/comiclab. And it says, hey, Dave and Brad, one thing I'm always impressed with is how much you two do with making your comics and running the business and signing in one another's books when you shouldn't. I'm obviously inserting that. I've personally been struggling with time management. My comic is doing great and I'm making a living at it. Well, hey, but almost 100% of my work time goes into making the comic and then the Patreon rewards. I have no time to make a book or merchandise or anything other than writing and drawing the comic.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm scared to change anything because it's working, but all of your business advice about making a book, Kickstarters, newsletters, etc., all of that is being left on the floor because I just don't have the time. Yeah. I'm unsure what to do about that. My current plan is to have no plan and just keep trucking along.
I hear you.
Putting all my eggs in the Patreon basket. Not great, I know. So, Brad, what is the answer we have for this great question asker?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I'd say if you are making a living doing your comic, then you are not failing on the business side. In fact, you've already solved the hardest problem, which there are a whole legion of people listening to the podcast who would kill a favorite aunt just to be where you are right now. So,
Margaret,
off she goes.
Well, Margaret, you had a good run. Keep going.
Now, spend a little more time on the peach cobbler next time. You could have gotten a little higher. But yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. Take it easy on yourself. And here's the next thing I'm going to say is that you're probably getting overwhelmed because a lot of times when you hear advice about books and Kickstarters and newsletters and merch and YouTube and social media and conventions and subscriptions and licensings, it quietly translates into like, I'm supposed to be doing all this stuff. And that's not actually the goal. The goal is stability. Okay, that's the goal. And right now, our question asker has built stability around Patreon, right? And that's good. But as they rightfully point out, they don't like to have all that eggs in one basket. The fancy business term for that is concentration risk, right? But the rest of us just call it putting all of our eggs in one basket. So they're like, I need to derivate out from that. Okay. So let's talk about doing that. And here's what I'm going to recommend. 3 things. Number 1, protect the engine first. And the engine is, for this person, Patreon. It's what's working. It's what's paying the bills. You protect that engine at all costs because that's, again, as they point out, it's working. I don't want to screw with it. Now, number 2, add 1 layer at a time. And number 3, make sure everything that you do supports the comic instead of competes with the comic. Now, let's talk about some of the things that are listed here. For example, making a book, okay? A Kickstarter for your new book does not have to mean a new comic and bonus stories and merchandise and stretch goals and enamel pins and live streams and daily updates and a nervous breakdown, okay? It doesn't have to have all that stuff. In fact, your first book can and perhaps should just be a printed collection of the comics that you've done on the web that has built this audience, right?
Yep.
And it is perfectly okay to do a Kickstarter that just has 2 or 3 rewards. Reward number 1, a PDF. Reward number 2, a printed book. A reward number 3, a signed book where you sign it KELLETT and send it off to your person, right?
And then get criticized for it. Yes.
yes. Make sure you spell it right. But and you may think, well, that's not how it's done. But yeah, it is how it's done, especially if you're in this situation, because what you're doing, even though it's not going to be a 6-figure Kickstarter, what you are doing is you're building that Kickstarter chain that you've heard Dave and I talk about all the time, where on your next Kickstarter, you're going to promote that book to the people from the first Kickstarter who are going to all jump in, or most of them. And then the third one, you've got number 1 and number 2. I was thinking about this earlier. Go back to either one of our Kickstarters from the past, like go to Drive Book 2, the Kickstarter for that, or go to an earlier Evil Inc. Book. And look at the updates, because in those updates, you will see all the times that we promoted a current Kickstarter to our past Kickstarter backers. Right. So that's what you're doing here. So yeah, this Kickstarter might just be a few $1,000s for you. And it just might be just enough to cover the printing of the book at a nice offset printer and the shipping, and you might just limit your shipping to the United States because you don't want to deal with international shipping. That's fantastic. And it's a very easy layer to add, right? You can manage that time.
Right.
It's the same thing with newsletters. The newsletters doesn't have to become a whole nother thing. It can just be like reusing your social media posts. I'm a big fan of that. I reuse social media posts all the time for my newsletters. Nobody's paying attention. They're not taking notes, right? It can be, here's the new page. Here's some behind the scenes. What we're saying basically, Dave, is reduce friction, lower ambition on side projects, really. And we got to talk about side projects. And also, Dave, accepting that good enough is the enemy of done. And sometimes just saying, hey, this is good. I'm going to go on to the next thing now. Sometimes you got to do that kind of decision making too.
Yeah, first of all, that was a great answer. And I want to build on it. The only thing I want to correct is the phrase that good enough is the enemy of done. I don't know that that's the right way to say that phrase. Isn't it good enough is the enemy, good is the enemy of perfect, or perfect is the enemy of good? Isn't that the phrase?
Yeah, well, okay.
because the reason I'm calling out, because the rest of that answer was word perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't know that good enough is the enemy of done, because what I'm saying is this person is done.
Yeah.
In the sense that the reason why at the beginning of your answer, you nailed it.
Yeah.
They have found stability.
Right.
And that's the key thing. And to echo all the great advice Brad said, is that you want to now very carefully and incrementally start to add things to your stack. But that doesn't mean you have to tackle everything on the list that we've said in past shows. You know, Kickstarter, a new book, comic conventions, personal signings, this and that.
Right.
You don't have to tackle all of them. Tackle the low-hanging fruit. And as we've said in past episodes, you want to do it in manageably sized mistakes. And by that, I mean, like, don't do a book at first. That's a big project. Maybe do an enamel pin.
Yeah.
That's something that'll cost you a few $100 to make a swing on. And maybe you could design it and make it over the course of a weekend. A book is going to take you weeks and weeks and weeks and thousands of dollars. So you want to start and dip a toe into small, incremental, manageably sized mistakes as you grow your business. But as Brad said, you have done something that everybody in our audience longs for, which is you have found stability. And even though we never talk chemistry on this show, Brad, let's talk nuclear shell theory for a minute. Because they have discovered an island of stability, which, as we all remember from chemistry, is that unique thing where you can add protons and suddenly an element can find a new island of stability. I know Brad remembers that from chemistry because I barely do.
Chapter and verse.
Brad, there's no two better chemists in the world than Brad and I. No, but honestly, stability is the right word. You have stability, and that is a godsend. Like, that's what everybody is champing for. And so now your goal is, over the next 6 months, 18 months, add one more little thing. Did that work? Great. Hold on to it.
Yeah.
You know, add another little thing. Then over the next 6 days, like, I guess what another way of saying it is, Brad and I are on roughly year 25 now of our careers. We did not add all of this stuff to our plate overnight or in a 12-month period or a 24-month period. It's quite literally taken 25 years to add all this stuff onto the plate. And I will add, there is not a morning that I wake up that I don't wish I could add 5 more things onto my list. And I'm sure Brad has the same thing. I don't know, but I'm sure it is. Because everyone, ourselves included, are aware, hyper aware of all the things we could be doing, and therefore internalize it as a failure if we're not doing it. Trust me, we do that too. Yeah. So you're not alone in this, and what you're feeling is natural, but what Brad led off with is super true. You have the rarest of things. You are making a living from your comic. Yeah. That is wonderful. Now you have an island of stability like chemistry where you can build off of this. And your own nuclear shell theory, you're just going to keep adding little protons until you find the next island of stability. That's what I finally said it right. That's what I wanted to say. So much like nuclear shell theory, you're just going to keep adding little protons And then some of it might be, you'll be destabilizing for a little while, but then you'll realize that, by adding 4 protons, look, I'm now stable as an element again. That's great. Okay, I'm going to add 2 more. I'm unstable. But if I had 3 more, now I'm stable again. So that was my chemistry metaphor, and I'm never doing that again. I'm never again, Brad, bringing chemistry into the show, because that did not work as a metaphor.
Well, I thought it was just fine, but 2 things that we need to call out here. Number 1 is being careful about taking on side projects, because we get this every now and again from our audience, because they're like, well, Dave and Brad, Dave does Sheldon, and he does Drive, and he does the ComicLab podcast, and he wrote the How to Make Webcomics book back, in at some point. And he did Stripped, which was a whole documentary, and all these side projects. And I want to do side projects too. And it's like, yeah, but you got to realize each one of them was added very carefully, one at a time, when we could actually take it and actually do it without everything else falling apart. Side projects, the shiny object over on the side that you start chasing, is the best way to debilitate your time management
and derail your time management.
Yeah. It's super dangerous, the side project.
I will just say, because Brad and I, like every professional artist in the world, we try to present a calm, fun demeanor to the world, because our readers don't need our nonsense. What they need from us is our entertainment and our storytelling, right? That's why they come back and again. They don't need to know that Brad's desperately trying to figure out his water heater, or Dave Kelledy's got to go to the doctor for this new weird thing that's happening. Like, my readers don't need to know that. So what I'm saying is, you may not have seen it at the time, but when I made Stripped, which was a dream project, I love to do it. It was debilitating to my comic output. And much like a duck above water, I looked calm, but my feet were madly paddling, because it totally side railed and derailed everything that I was trying to do otherwise in my career, right? But you remember that stage, Brad.
It completely set you off your other projects. It took you, I think, about a year to catch up with the other projects that fell behind during the time you were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, there was the final stage when we were in super duper editing mode, and we were in the sound stage and doing color timing and sound correction and all that sort of stuff. I had basically had to stop Drive, which for everybody involved, Drive is my favorite thing I've ever done.
And it's your central engine. Yeah,
exactly. And so to finish Stripped, I basically had to stop Drive. And so you don't want that, question asker. What you want is, you want to add a little zhuzh onto whatever's working for you now. And that's why I said, try maybe enamel pins, or try one signing in 2027, that kind of thing. But you don't want to upset the stable apple cart that Brad rightly points out is amazing that you have built. You don't want to upset that, but you do want to slowly, over the course of the next decade now, and I want you to think about that in terms of decade, not like 10 months, but the next decade, add 1 or 2 new wrinkles a year, right, Brad? Something like that. I mean, that's just me ballparking, but that's the rough idea.
And don't get caught in this whole, what the hell is a enamel pin Kickstarter going to do for me? Like a $200 Kickstarter. What's that going to do for me? How is that going to keep me building my business towards a new island of stability? Well, I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to teach you how to run a Kickstarter. That's super, super valuable for the next one, which might be a little bit bigger than that, right? It's just learning having that experience, setting up a page, how to do your rewards, yada, yada. That is super, super valuable, along with building that mailing list that you're going to lean on. That's big stuff.
That's huge. I'm so glad you said that, because here's what else you'll do. And this is just an example that we're plucking out of the air. You can do whatever you want to do as your next thing. But let's say you say, okay, I'm gonna do my first physical product, and it's gonna be an enamel pin. Well, if you're a wise business owner, what you'll do is you'll order 1 or 2 pins from other small businesses or cartoonists or this or that, just to see, how do they ship it? What's the quality of the pin? What's the size of the pin? What kind of packaging do they use? How much does the postage look like when they mail it? That kind of thing, when I place this order. And in doing so, if you think through that kind of knowledge will set you up, yes, to fulfill this Kickstarter for this pin. But that nascent knowledge will also pay forward when you go to do a book 5 years from now, right? Because you'll be like, okay, now I know what companies I need to order shipping supplies from. Now I know how to do shipping. Oh, I could use I don't know, Pirate Ship for my mailing software. I can use the fulfillment services of blankety blank for my Kickstarter. Or what I'm saying is each one of these is an incremental learning that pays forward to the next step, right? And so, like Brad said, you add each one of these on, and you add them in one at a time and manageably until you find the next island of stability. And then you keep adding a couple more protons. I'm going to lean into the chemistry thing now.
I don't see any reason why not at this point.
Because at this point, I'm leaning into the metaphor. And so everyone will slowly kind of remember their chemistry from high school to be like, oh, right, islands of stability. And so, you'll don't name this episode Islands of Stability, by the way. No, let's not lean in on this.
I'm still trying to figure out how to do a Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton duet parody of this whole conversation, and I'm afraid I'm coming up with nothing.
Well, the trick is you got to get Dolly. Never mind, I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind, I'm not going to make an Island of Stability joke with Dolly Parton involved. Let's just all assume that Dave Kellett had a classy joke in mind, and let's just leave it there.
Well, listen, I'm going to get you out of that by bringing this conversation to a close with one point, and it's a basic time management point, and that is if you're in a situation like this and you're like, that all sounds good, but I'm still kind of using all my time. My best advice for you in that situation is going back to when my time was absolutely crunched down to nothing, when I had small kids and I was working a day job and I was doing a comic. The way I found time management was that, again, I found the hours that weren't being used. I found out that I could wake up an hour earlier. And I wasn't happy about it when I was getting out of bed, but I had a goal and I had a finish line in mind. And there might be some things in your life that you can squeeze an extra hour here or there out of it. Yeah. Whether it's taking those unused hour, I always this is very, very harsh, and I don't completely co-sign it, but there's a little bit of truth here that's worth extracting. And it goes to another comic convention. I was standing next to Robert Koo, the business manager of Penny Arcade. And somebody came up and said, I want to have what Mike and Jerry have. I want to do this like them. I want to have that degree of success. And Robert says, well, yeah, that I understand that. And the guy says, what do I need to do? And Robert says, I don't know. Let's talk about something else. He goes, what's your favorite video game? The guy goes, Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. Robert says, not anymore. It is not Call of Duty. Your new favorite video game is making comics. He says, what's your favorite TV show? He said, Friends. I love Friends. He says, not anymore. It's not. Your favorite TV show is making comics. And it went on like that.
Yeah.
Now, that was like very, very, that was on a scale of 1 to 10. That was a 10, right? And if you've ever met Robert, that's no surprise. He's kind of like an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. But there's a little bit of that that's useful for us in that some of the things that are taking up your time that you can give up. Like if you like playing video games, and maybe instead of playing 2 hours of video games, you play 1 hour of video games. Right. Or, TV shows are great and all, but there was an entire period of time that I watched no TV whatsoever.
Same.
Yeah. And then like literally it all worked out, because literally then when I did have a studio that I could move into, I was listening to all of the TV shows that I missed in the 90s while I worked on my comic. And I was like, oh yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was a pretty good show. I remember that. And it was all like that. But there are some things in your life that if you take a closer look at them, I don't necessarily think you need to cut it out entirely and go cold turkey, but there are some hours that you can regain in your life by cutting back on some of those things in an effort to give yourself a little bit more time for comics.
Yeah, and it's not particularly fun to talk about, but exactly like Brad, in my late 20s and probably into my late 30s, I kind of didn't experience as much media as the average citizen did, and I kind of didn't have as healthy or full a social life as the average person did. Yeah. Because I had the day job at Mattel, and then I would come home and work till 2 a.m. And I'm not saying this in a braggy way. It was just the way I had to do it at the time. Like Brad, I had to give up the extra hours here and there and squeeze it in. I loved it. I loved doing it, and I was happy to do it. But that was just sort of the price that I had to pay to find the extra time to make the time management work. And so while I agree with Brad that Robert was making an extreme example of it, there is kind of a truth to it. And so if you want to take on whatever the next small project that you're going to add on to this, and we just, as an example, had grabbed an enamel pin. If you want to do an enamel pin and are going to do a Kickstarter for it, maybe just give up a little something from your, not in a way that's going to impact your mental health, but maybe you don't need to watch all of Invincible right now. You can give that up, and you can do this enamel pin, and it'll still be there. You can come back to it. All the Star Treks and Star Wars will be waiting for you when you come back. Especially if you're like Dave Kellett, it'll still be there. It'll still be there.
Listen. If you're worried about missing Invincible, I'll give you the short form of it, so you're not worried you're missing something. The guy gets his head torn off.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
And by the way, that goes for every character. Holy moly. Yeah, now you're all caught up. The guy gets his head chopped off. It's just, everything that happens now.
Yeah. Someone really gets beat to a pulp. There you go. That's your Invincible episode. They just get the absolute living shit kicked out of them. There you go. And then that's, anyway. Yeah. Anyway, the good news, let's just summarize for this. The good news, you have made this work. Yes. You have an audience that loves your comic. You're loving your comic. Yeah. They are helping support you make that comic. That is the win. You have found the stability that you need. You can take a breather, and by breather, I mean keep on keeping on for now. And then with time, add one more little thing. Find a new island of stability. Yeah. Give yourself a little breather. Add one more little thing on top of that. Give yourself a little time. You know what I mean? And slowly but surely over the course of 25 years, as Brad and I have done, you will find that you now do a book a year or 2 convention appearances and plus a talk at the NCS Rubens and all this and that. Yeah. And so it all adds up over time, but we did not do this overnight, and we did not put all of this on our plate overnight. And even now, just as fellow humans, we want you to know, we wake up every day going, I should be doing more. Of course we do. And we all of us look at someone else's career and go, the grass is greener. I look at Brad and I'm like, how is he doing all this? And I'm sure there are elements of that Brad looks at someone else and says, how are they doing all that? Yeah. Not me, but someone else. I took the thunder away from you before you could even do it.
I'm like, what am I going to say now? I got nothing. Well, it is funny that you mention islands of stability, because back when I used to do comic conventions, which turns out to be a theme for today's show, back when I used to do comic conventions, my convention booth was always an island of stability, because there was so much action and tumult at everybody else's booth. People would come up to mine and say, oh my God, finally, it's not so crowded over here. But you have found an island of stability at San Diego Comic-Con, which has been the one convention you've kept throughout the years. And you're going to be there again in your own island of stability financially, exhibiting at Comic-Con International 2026.
That's right, my friend, in just a few short weeks. So this I should mention this only for people that are going, because at this point it's nigh impossible to get tickets to San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. But for the folks that are already going, just a reminder that I will be at booth 1228. Same booth that I've been at for the last, I don't even know, 10 or 15 years. I honestly don't remember. Yeah, let's say 10 years. Same fantastic corner booth. And as a reminder to all the ComicLab listeners, you're going to want to come up to booth 1228 and ask for your free ComicLab pin that Brad and I are happy to give out anytime a ComicLab listener asks for it. It's a free enamel pin. You're going to want to swing by booth 1228 and say hi and get that free pin. And I will see you at San Diego Comic-Con in a few short weeks, gang.
I was trying to come up with our own dry elbow for 1228, but there's no letters for the number 1 on a keypad. So the best I can do is 1 bat. 2 is AB, so we can go BA, and then 8 is T. So you can say 1 bat to remember Dave's booth number.
That I love that makes it helps no one and makes the whole process more confusing for everyone involved. I love you like a brother for that. That's amazing. Don't forget, gang, 1 bat, and they're at Comic-Con going, where the hell am I going? What am I doing? I remember something vaguely about I'm looking for a bat.
Yeah.
Wait, what did Brad say?
Imagine trying to find a bat at Comic-Con. You could only come to one place trying to find a bat at Comic-Con.
Hey, gang, if you're listening while you work, take a minute to stand and stretch.
And while you're doing that, we'll tell you why you should join us on Patreon.
Yeah, because when you do, you'll get hours and hours of podcasts that we've recorded just for backers.
And exclusive Patreon posts that go even deeper on ComicLab topics.
And you'll get access to our exclusive Discord server, a thriving community of professional cartoonists.
So you can support the show you love and get tons of actionable resources for your own cartooning.
And ho Nelly, if you want even more comics goodness in your life, check out the new drawing show that we're doing with our pal Kevin McShane over at wrongwayshow.com. That's wrongwayshow.com.
In each episode, we'll show you how to draw your favorite cartoon characters the wrong way.
Now, everybody, let's talk comics.
Oh, okay, we better get back to doing the stuff we're good at, which is answering questions. This one comes in from patreon.com/comiclab, and it says this. Hello, Dave Lee and Bradid. I am working up the gumption to finally get my long-form webcomic up and running. One of those little things that stops me in my tracks is how to number the pages. How do you decide how you'll number your pages? Is it something like chapter number, page number, or just which strip it is? So like No Shoes for Tuesday, number 456. Thank you so much. I appreciate your hard work. Dave Kellett from Los Angeles, the man who everyone is so envious of. They say he puts the jealous in Los Angeles. How do you answer this question?
Did you come up with that right now?
I said it last show. Remember the note that I had written down?
Oh my God. What a senior moment.
Busy.
I legitimately don't remember that. Did
you
literally
were
say
so
the jealous?
busy laughing at that I put the DILF in Philadelphia that you forgot. I also said that everyone is so envious of Dave Kellett. They say he's the man that put the jealous in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's right. That was your second addendum, right? Because the DILF one was the one that made me laugh. Yeah. Okay, now I do remember it. Okay, wow. I gotta say though, you're having Post-it notes on your computer to save a joke for the podcast. Yes. I find so human and charming. Just like, oh, this is a real winner. People are gonna love this DILF joke.
Gotta come up organically. I can't force it. And when I forget what keyword you said, but when you said it, I literally lit up. We should find the video because I lit up like a Christmas tree when you said that.
Okay, now I kind of want to go back and look for that video. So anyway, what was the question?
How do you number pages for your website for a long form webcomic?
So for a long form webcomic, I will be honest, gang, that I think Drive is on its 3rd website iteration, and obviously it's on its 4th, now going into its 5th book.
Yeah.
But the reason why I mentioned the website and the book is I want you to keep in mind that you can have 2 very different numbering or naming structures for the website pages versus the book pages.
Right.
When it is in a physical book, it is a no-brainer how to number the page. Page 5 is page 5. Like that takes care of itself, right?
Page, yeah.
So let's assume that you understand how books are numbered, and that we can leave that there. So let's talk now about the website and how to number or name a website comic. So first of all, as far as the archiving goes and whatever engine you're using to drive the software engine that you're using to drive the website, basically a content management system, you can, and I've seen it done, use page numbers, chapter numbers and page numbers, the date of creation, the date of publication. What else am I missing, Brad? What else have we seen out there?
We've also seen people
literally the number of the comic. So page 42 was number 42 on the website. So you can do all of those, and in some respects, as long as it's consistent, it does not matter. And the reason I say it that way is over the 3 different websites for Drive, I have done it 3 different ways. And as long as it was consistent, who really cares? Although I will say now in the most recent iteration of the Drive website, it's particularly well done because now we have act breaks that you can jump from Act 1 to Act 2, Act 3. We also have it now where there's thumbnails of every page in the story, which is hugely helpful for me as an author, let me tell you, in terms of trying to remember what Chekhov's guns I've laid down. And then, so we have it by chapter, and then we have the page number in the book. But Brad, you do it a different way. Why don't you talk about how you do it?
Well, I've done it same as you a number of ways, and including for my long form comic, just like a title that was words only and didn't have chapters or numbers. In fact, the last time that we did this subject a few years ago on the show, I was like, nah, I don't need all of that. Since then, I've kind of come around a little bit, and it's mainly been based around as I've readdressed the importance of search engine optimization. Okay. As you know, there was a period of time that we were all like, nah, my website's not as important because of social media. Now with social media in full decline, a lot of us, you and me included, are like, oh, it's time for me to kind of get that ship shape again and spruce it up. So over the last several years, I've been paying a lot more attention to SEO than I used to. And my naming convention for individual updates or pages, again, I always think of pages as being the parts of a book and updates being parts of a website. But now what I do is a combination of chapter number, page number, and then words that have something to do with the topic. So, for example, I think the last one is chapter 7. And since I do technically like the top of the page on Tuesday and the bottom of the page on Wednesday, it's chapter 17, page 18A, and then social media influencer decline or what, it's like, it's something to do with the topic that this particular comic deals with, this section of the storyline deals with. And it doesn't have to be more than 2 or 3 words. But here's what led me down to this, other than obviously I think these days it's smart to have the chapter number and the page number just for all those reasons Dave mentioned. It just helps to keep things organized. But I include the words because I installed Yoast SEO, which is a WordPress plugin. And Yoast kind of walks you through having what's called a focus keyword for every post or a key phrase, right? And that's the search term that you want your page to rank for on Google, right? So if somebody put in social media influencer madness, right? If that should happen, then it would rank on that page, okay? So I figure for each one of these pages, if I choose a key phrase based on the subject matter, then I'm increasing my chances of being found on a web search. Okay. And so everything I do after that is revolves around that focus key phrase. So it'll show up in my title, when I write an introduction to the comic on my blog, and I these days I do a little bit of blogging with every comic that I post, even if it's nothing more than an introduction and the transcript and some detailed alt text, right? I just want to get some words there, right?
Right.
So the focus key phrase shows up in the title, the intro, and the meta description. And again, that's something that Yoast walks you through. If you use the plugin, that the meta in this case stands for the Google Corporation, and it's the description that shows up if someone searches for your comic and finds it. It's got to have a certain character count so that it doesn't get chopped off. And that focus key phrase shows up in all of those places.
Mm-hmm.
That's my system. Now, the next question is, do you think it's doing anything? I have no idea. I have no idea. But what my thought on that is, if I'm going to be sitting there doing this anyway, and it takes me 3 extra seconds to come up with, okay, what this comic is all about, spilling soup on a superhero, right? Mm-hmm. And if I come up with, spilling soup on Captain Heroic or whatever, just spilling soup, right? If it takes me 3 seconds to come up with that focus key phrase, and if I put that in the title and the intro and the meta description, if that gives me a little edge, then it's 3 seconds well spent. I don't know that I'm setting the world on fire, SEO wise, but my thought is, as websites are getting more and more important again, right, I'll spend another extra 3 seconds to kind of give myself an edge.
Yeah, I mean, you are far ahead of me in terms of SEO. I will say, because I want to show people how maddening the naming structures can get. I would like to read out to you the full file name of one Drive file. This is one. Yeah. And then I'll talk you through why I do all this. Okay, so just close your eyes and imagine that this is a file name. Drive 260528 underscore 5.15.099 underscore 001.jpg.
Holy moly. I was up to you. I lost you after the date.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to take you through why all that information is in the file name and why Beth and I have determined that all of this is necessary in the file name, not just in some separate cross-reference spreadsheet that we would have to pull up, right? So let's start with the core name, Drive 260528, right? So what that does is that's the date of publication, not of creation. And the reason I did that a long time ago is you can have a day where you are super productive and produce 3 comics. Yeah. So you can't date the comics based on the date of production. Right. But you'll never run, if you're smart, more than 1 comic in a day because you're going to try to get that as much juice as you can out of that thing. So you will date your files based on the date of publication, not based on the date of creation. So Drive 260528 is Drive made in the 26th year, in the 5th month, 0528. Now, why is that the case? Because that creates a flow in the overall foldering, because they're all in the year 26, and then there's a subset that are in the month 05, and then within the subset of that, you go by the date of the month. Yeah, jump in on that, Brad.
It's always got to be year, month, date. Always.
It's got to be. Yep.
4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit date. That's the rule. That's the law. There are very few times that we're going to really get on you about something when it comes to file management, but that's the law, year, month, date.
And then the next bit of numbers I want to talk about is 0515099. Now, these are broken up by...
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
05 that comes in Drive Book 5.
Well, Act 5, Act 5, which is both a website division and a book division. You're right. Yes.
Now, 15, if I had to guess, it's the 15th page of the book.
Very close. It's the chapter. We do on the website only. Oh, yeah. We have chapters, which are, to be fair, probably unnecessary, but once we committed to it, we kind of now have to do it, so it's fine. So that's the chapter. And then you'll notice that the next digits are 099. And that's a lesson learned from Y2K. You've got to put the 0 in there in order to, so when it eventually turns over from 99 to 100, right? Because otherwise you'll break your own file structure if you, for reasons that flow visually and in foldering. So it goes drive, the date of publication, and then the act, then the chapter, and then the page within that chapter, right?
Yeah.
And then you remember there's another digit at the very end. It's _001. Well, that's for, in this case, when you make a vertical scroll, you take a full page and you divide it up into subsections so that you can create a vertical scroll. Some people do it as one large continuous file. I have found that the website loads faster if you have little chunks of files. So the first 2 panels will come together to create one JPEG. Panels 3 and 4 will create the next JPEG. I don't know if that is that how you do it, by the way, Brad, or do you do it differently?
Individual panels, but
you do individual panels.
But I think but there's a lot to be said for what you're talking about right now.
Yeah. But we both agree that you got to break it up. To let the website load faster. Otherwise, it goes tick-a-dee, 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 and it just takes forever. So Brad breaks it up into panels. I break it up into 2, sometimes 3 panels, and I number them thusly. And that's what the final digit is. And so anyway, all of which to say is, this is bonkers confusing. And it took me, 10 minutes to explain it?
Yes.
But if we don't have all this data in the file name, we have found that we go bonkers, batshit crazy trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, this file was created, but what chapter is it in? Okay, well, now we know the chapter, but what's the subset of vertical scroll that it is? You got to have it all in the file name, we have learned.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, long story short, that's where I end up now, but that's at year 25, right? The first 20 years of creating Sheldon, it was just the date of publication, and it frankly still is just the date of publication. So that's where I am in terms of naming structures.
Yeah, no, and even in file naming, like going back to SEO, like especially for Sheldon, if you added a couple of keywords to the end of that file name,
you're not wrong.
And by the way, I don't do it either, but it would be the smartest thing. Yeah. I got to ask your advice about something. So when this guy, Dummy McGee over here, started Evil Ink After Dark, there was no way he thought that this was going to go on for 10 years. So he started Evil Ink After Dark, chapter 1, as 01.
Oh, no.
I'm on my 80th chapter. I'll be closing in on chapter 100 within the foreseeable. And all of my data, all of my file naming has a 2-digit chapter, and it's all goes by, it's like Evil Ink chapter 1, Evil Ink chapter 2. Not only not only those pages that have a full page, the full page in the file, but you remember how we just got done telling you that I do the individual panels? Remember that?
Right.
Same naming convention, because that's like the first panel of Evil Ink chapter 1 is Evil Ink After Dark 01A, 01B, 01C. I've got thousands of panels.
Right.
What the hell am I going to do after Evil Ink After Dark chapter 99?
So you are facing down the same Y2K problem that made me go to a 3-digit page number system for Drive, because I knew I would never go above 999 pages in an act, right? Like, so that was fair. I didn't have to go to a 4-digit system, but there are computer solutions to this, but you'll have to Google them. I don't know. Or Brad, another possibility is maybe that's a sign that it's time to wrap up Evil Ink when you get to 99.
Oh, no, that ain't going to happen. I'm having too much fun. but if I was the kind of person that believed in science, I think maybe you'd have me there. But no, I'm on a Mac and I can rename files very easily. The only problem with that is if I ever have to go back to an old document that pulled in those files that had
like
the
an
other
Illustrator
file name,
or an InDesign file or something. Yeah.
then I'm euchred, as they say up in Bad Axe, Michigan. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to 99. Maybe I'll get hit by, maybe I'll get the very luckiest thing possible, and I'll get hit by a bus before that happens.
Could you potentially I'm trying to think through, because I know there are you're not the first programmer to encounter this problem. Can you switch from a numeric to an alphanumeric? Would that help or no?
I don't know that would help. The one thing that I could do is I could put everything up to 99 into its own folder and then just start a new folder. And then the only one that gives me fits is when I'm putting together the book for, chapter 95 through 101. Through the new 05. Yeah. I could solve the problem by putting them into folders.
Yes, and then what's great here's how you could help future Brad. You could differentiate between the two different folders by having 3 digits in the new system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm not being
I'd have to.
Because then visually you would know right away. You would know right away that that's one of the new ones, not one of the old ones. So, gang, these are good problems to have. This is the kind of problem that Brad specifically has because he's gone for 25 years at this, and so. But to circle back on the question of how to number the pages, so I think we nailed it. That the book is self-explanatory. For the website, there's a couple different options. Mainly consistency, and to Brad's point and my point, plan ahead. That's another thing to do. You will eventually have more than one chapter. You will eventually have more than one book. You will eventually have a page count that turns from 99 to 100. So plan for all of those things happening, right?
Yeah.
Because if you over-plan, you won't have these problems that Brad and I have had where we had to recreate our systems whole cloth, and I have had to do that. But it's all doable as long as there is consistency.
Yeah.
I have seen some bonkers versions from different cartoonists.
Oh my gosh,
but
yes.
I have to give them credit, they had their own internal consistency.
Yes.
It was bonkers and insane, but it had internal consistency.
Yeah.
So,
well, listen. Consistency is important. I don't care who you are, what you're doing, consistency is important. I'll give you an example. This show goes for about an hour every week, and we would not be consistent unless I, at some point very quickly, said the following, that you've been listening to ComicLab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
Your hosts have been my ever-delightful friend, Brad Geiger, the editor of webcomics.com and the creator of Evil Inc. at evilcomic.com.
And my good friend, Dave Kellett, that's 2 E's, 2 L's, 2 T's, and all heart, co-director of the comics documentary Stripped and the cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com and the Hugo-nominated Drive at drivecomic.com.
Oh, darn it, I already did your intro, so now I can't say the Silver Rubin-nominated Brad Geiger. There's no way for me to say it.
I was kind of hoping, but,
Well, the ComicLab theme song is used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net, and this episode was edited by the ever-wonderful, ever-whimsical Matt Woodard of Woodsong Productions over at www.woodsong.media.
If you love ComicLab and it's too late, we saw you smile. We know that you do. You can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and you may hear your review featured on a future episode. And don't forget to give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star review on Spotify, where we are, you know what the fire marshal called? He says, you guys got to stop it. I saw the smoke. You're burning up those podcast charts.
And our ears are burning, waiting for you to share your thoughts on today's episode over on the ComicLab Confab line at 1-609-379-3520, and we may play your message on a future episode.
Make plans to see ComicLab live on the NCS Conference and Rubin Awards, August 6th through the 8th in Columbus, Ohio. Go to nationalcartoonists.com.
Absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it first time through. That was great. And ComicLab is made possible by your support on patreon.com/ComicLab. So we will go ahead and say that twice. Patreon.com/Dry Elbow. I'm leaning in.
You didn't hear me, but I whispered it the same way.
I heard it. I'm not dumb. I heard it. It wasn't that much of a whisper. It's Brad in the background going, Dry Elbow.
And now, broadcasting live from the hallowed halls of Oxford University, where the air is thick with old leather and academic rigor, it's time for the Histories of Sequential Art with our esteemed guest professor, Dr. Reginald Wigglesby.
Oh, chickadee-boo, old boy, and chip-chip. Always a delight to receive a call from Colonel Geiger of His Majesty's 3rd Mounted Regiment. Pip, and what-o, Colonel Geiger, what is today's comics query?
Well, today I've got a great one for you, Professor Wigglesby, and it is this. On this date in history, Dagwood first made one of his legendary huge sandwiches. And I just wanted to see if you knew some of the culinary trials that he had before landing on the huge sandwich.
Well, I must admit, was today the first time he made his giant... I had that on my calendar, my daily calendar, as being tomorrow. I've caught a bit out on that, Bradley.
Yeah, do you have the Gregorian comics calendar, or do you have the updated one?
My comics calendar seems to be falling apart on its job here. A bit of a sticky wicket for me. I don't mean to get my knickers in a twist, but I'm quite embarrassed, Bradley. I'm quite embarrassed, yes, Colonel Geiger. I must say. So anyway, yes, Dagwood making the giant sandwich, one of the most beloved sticks in American comics oeuvre, if I could say it that way. But we must say, in the years preceding the giant sandwich, which was an emotional hit for the entire audience, in the years preceding that, we did try. There was a 4-gallon bucket of chicken soup that he had made, not visually as interesting.
No.
He had leaned in on a couch's worth of salad. He had made an entire salad on a couch. It was 600 pounds of salad.
A couch salad?
A couch salad, yes. Well, he needed a container to contain 600 pounds of salad. He had tried at one point to lean in on God damn it! Lean in on other things, but really it was the giant sandwich that won the day, Bradley, and then won our hearts. Won our hearts, Bradley.
I love couch full of salad. I don't know where you got that from, but that was inspired.
Brad, I will say I don't know where I got it from, frankly, and wish I could bow out at this point. That's where I am emotionally. Much like Dagwood on his marriage, I wish I could just bow out.
I thought you had it with a bucket of soup, which immediately I'm like, that's funny. There's only one kind of food that you accept in a bucket, and that's chicken legs. Anything else sounds disgusting.
Well, I do try to keep a bit of a stiff upper lip about these things, but I seem to have landed in an unfortunate way with the couch salad. There's a joke, Bradley, as we say in the business, that did not land. It did not land, Bradley.